So let's talk about a pretty radical idea. What if a legal contract, one of those super dense, confusing documents, what if it were as easy to understand as a comic book?
Come on, you've been there, right? You're staring at this mountain of paperwork, a mortgage, a job offer, maybe just the terms and conditions for a new app. And you just kind of sign and hope for the best. It's an unsettling feeling we all know. But what if the problem isn't us? What if the problem is the design of the documents themselves?
And that brings us to the real villain of the story, the wall of text. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It feels like these things are written by lawyers, for lawyers, in a language that seems designed to be confusing, not to actually explain anything.
And look, for many of us, it's just frustrating. But for millions of people around the world, especially those with low literacy, this is way more than an inconvenience. It's a massive barrier. It literally locks them out of understanding their own rights, their own obligations. The very agreement that's meant to form a partnership becomes a tool that just shuts people out. So how in the world do you tear down that wall of text? Well, the solution is as brilliant as it is unexpected. You turn it into a comic. Seriously. Let's dive into this amazing concept of the comic contract. Okay, so what is a comic contract? It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a completely legit, legally binding agreement that uses characters and pictures to illustrate all the terms. So instead of dense legalese, you get a visual story of the agreement. The real magic here is that pictures are basically a universal language, aren't they? They can jump right over linguistic and cultural divides, creating this shared understanding instantly, without needing a lawyer to translate every single clause. And get this, there's some serious science behind it. Our brains are just wired for visuals. We process images something like 60,000 times faster than text. That's not a small difference, that's a monumental leap. This whole approach just taps into how our brains naturally work.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Oh yeah, the results are incredible. Let me tell you about this amazing success story from South Africa that shows the real-world impact.
So picture this. You've got a group of seasonal fruit pickers, many with very low literacy, who need to get onboarded. With the old-school text-heavy contracts, the process was a total slog. On average, it took
4 hours. Can you imagine? 4 hours of trying to explain complex policies, reading dense paragraphs out loud, and with no real guarantee that anyone actually understood what they were signing. But then, this switched things up. An attorney named Robert DeRoy created comic contracts specifically for these workers. And the change? It was immediate. It was dramatic. That same induction process now took just 40 minutes. That's it. From 4 hours down to less than 1? I mean, the difference is just absolutely staggering. Seeing it like this on a chart really drives it home, doesn't it? This wasn't just some small improvement. It was a complete transformation of the entire process, saving a massive amount of time for everybody involved. But you know what? The real story here isn't even about the speed. What's truly remarkable is what happened after the contracts were signed. Get this. Contractual disputes reportedly just vanished. Why? Because for the first time, workers could understand the complicated stuff, like disciplinary rules or leave policies, all by themselves. They weren't just told the rules, they saw them. And of course, the innovation doesn't stop with paper. In so many parts of the world, people have leapfrogged the whole desktop computer era and gone straight to smartphones. So naturally, the comic contract is evolving to meet them right where they are. This next step is called a composite comic contract. It takes the visual power of the comic and pairs it with a synchronized audio track, all delivered right to your smartphone. It's a whole multi-sensory approach to understanding. The design is incredibly smart. So you're looking at a comic panel on your phone, and as you do, you hear the explanation that goes with it. The software even automatically zooms and pans to highlight key details, guiding your focus. It makes a super clear connection between what you see and what you hear, making the whole thing incredibly easy to follow. And this is where we really get to the most important part of this whole story. Because this isn't just about efficiency or some cool tech. At its heart, this is about people. It's about dignity. Think about it like this. For a lot of vulnerable people, a traditional contract feels like a tool of oppression. It's this thing handed down from on high, something to be obeyed but never truly understood. A visual contract completely flips that dynamic. It becomes a manual of cooperation, a shared guide for how two parties are going to work together.
And this quote just says it all perfectly. The primary goal is to afford vulnerable people the dignity of independently understanding the agreements they sign. It's about having the power to know what you're agreeing to without having to rely on someone else's word for it. That's a profound act of empowerment.
So the real outcomes here go so far beyond just legal compliance. This approach restores dignity. It fosters genuine trust because everything is transparent. And most importantly, it empowers individuals with real autonomy.
And before you ask, yes, they absolutely hold up in court. Legally speaking, a contract is all about a meeting of the minds, right? A shared understanding. As long as the pictures clearly show what that shared understanding is, there is zero legal reason they can't form a binding agreement. So we've seen how a simple shift in perspective, from text to visuals, can make the law more accessible, more human, and a whole lot more fair. And that leaves us with a really powerful question to chew on. If we can do this for contracts, what other needlessly complex systems in our world are just waiting for a similar transformation? What else can we redesign for clarity, for dignity, and for everyone?